Oh, so we recently did a poll on the best 2K to ever come out, and I'm gonna go over the winner out of about 200 votes. And some people commented on the community post too. So we'll probably say about like 225 votes. And we did this on Discord, by the way. And I don't think the result is gonna surprise you, but I'm gonna go over my top three and why I'm gonna leave some of them out and explain the reasoning. So we're gonna do the transition now. All right. So this is our Discord. Links gonna be in the description below. But the best 2K, we had 102 votes, is Bege. I think Bege is... Oop, didn't mean to do that. Bege is probably... I don't disagree. I think Bege is absolutely insane. I think it can literally just steal games constantly. It's the one thing that hits basically everything, and it's impossible to play around. And I think there's nothing better. Like, if you're talking about utility, right? If you're talking about utility, there is nothing better than having one thing that can just automatically win you the game if you're lucky. I think if we're being real, that it literally cannot get better than that, right? Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to say things like oh, and then let me go over the rest of the poll. So number 2 was Black Maria, and number 3 was Otama. I completely disagree with Otama, by the way. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me transition back, actually. But yeah, so Bege wins you games. It's been a nightmare. It's frustrating. Everyone hates getting Beged. I agree that it's probably the best 2K to ever come out, because if you trigger it and you don't need it, it's a 2K. If you trigger it and you do need it, it's like, you know, it gets you out of a 15K attack. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a crazy, like, game winning, like, Hail Mary that you can pull on your opponent, right? It's the call the police, not for me type of option. But number 2 is Black Maria. Now, we didn't get to see Black Maria full power, unfortunately. I was excited to see it. In a sense, like, I think that Law was a little bit unfair towards the end, especially with OP08 coming out. Like, it was a little unfair in set 7, even though it wasn't, in my opinion, probably the best deck. I think it was like tied for the best deck with Lucci and maybe like Black Yellow Luffy. But in OP08, it kind of broke it in the East, so I can understand Black Maria being the second most voted. I think I don't know. I just don't think it does enough. Other than with Red Purple Law, I don't think this card does enough for purple in general to be considered the second best now. Now, if we're talking about in Japan, of course, this is probably the best to ever come out. But if we're talking about right now in terms of like the Western meta, which is like what we're in, I don't think Black Maria should even be number 2. I think that card should be Perona. I think Perona is actually the second best, because Perona is the most infuriating like, anyone that ever played against Perona is the most annoying. It literally is a body that rips a card, and that can, in Gecko specifically, can keep being recycled over and over again. It's a 2K. It rips a card if you want it to. It's an attacker if you want it to. It's a 2K if you want it to. It's recyclable off of Rebecca. It's an insane utility. I think in terms of utility, Perona has the most utility in the entire game. And it's really annoying playing against Perona, because if you just KO it, they just bring it back in the deck that it's designed to be played in. And even like Black Yellow Luffy was playing it as like a 4-Don option instead of something like Kuzan, because while Kuzan cycles, it's a dead card. Whereas Perona, you know, it rips a card and is a 2K if you don't need it to play it. So interesting predicament right there. So I think Perona is definitely number 2, and since we're going off the West, I think that might surprise you guys. I think Makino might be the 3rd. Now, Black Maria is good. Don't get me wrong. In Kaido, it's kind of troll and kind of funny. I wouldn't say it's one of the best in the West, but Makino, bro. How many times have you guys gotten your game stolen by Makino? I'm curious. Because me, bro, I've been triple Makino'd. I've been quadruple Machino'd one time, and the amount of advantage that you get from this one Dawn thing, I don't know. I'm having PTSD, bro. I'm having PTSD from Zoro meta. I'm having PTSD from Law. I'm having PTSD from Newgate, and I don't know. I think having the fear of Machino being such a it has such great utility, and it can come out at any time. Especially to end the game, and it like messes up all Dawn math. Like if you're playing against any red deck and they play a searcher, you know they're gonna be playing Machino, and it messes up all of your math at the end of the game. And if you're trying to do math and figuring out if you're gonna survive, and they have 2 Dawn up, you're like, oh my god, is that a 7K or is that an 11K? You know, like you just literally don't know, and it's really hard to play around it. And I think. I don't know. I see a lot of people putting Otama on there too. People voted for Otama. We had 20 votes for Otama, and we had some votes for the community tab on Otama as well. I don't think Otama is nearly as good as Machino in terms of like its raw power, and then I think Otama is more utility, but it was only utility in RG Law. Once RG Law was like kind of dead, Otama hasn't really been a very like good card consistently. Whereas in the beginning of the game, Otama was great. But Machino, bro, is just like, it literally can just steal a game and mess up math and do all this stuff, and it's once per turn too. And obviously activate main. So not only does it boost something up at the end of the game, but like if you really need to attack over something, they have to kill it the next turn or you're going to do it again. Right? It's just, I don't know. It kind of messes up math a lot. It's a pseudo blocker, you know, if you're using it if you're not using it at the end of the game, and obviously it's a 2K counter. I think if we're going off of like just utility alone, Perona is the best. If we're going off of utility combined with power combined with impact, I think Bege is the best, because while Bege has absolutely no utility at all, and it has like no power, it steals games. Whereas like Perona has all the utility, but it doesn't exactly steal a game. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm actually really curious. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Bege is still the best though. If we're only talking Western meta, I think Bege is the best. But I think if we're talking about overall from what we saw in the East, it has to be Black Maria, and then the second best, if we're making Bege the best or Black Maria the best, then I think Perona has to be probably number 2, right? Because if we're going Bege is number 1. If we're going Bege number 1 because Black Maria, we're not counting what it did in the East, then Perona has to be number 2. If we're going Black Maria number 1 because of what it did in the East, then Perona's probably number 3 then. But still, I think it goes Bege, Perona, Machino, and a lot of people are like, where's Suru at? Bro, Suru is ass, bro. Like, Suru is not even, why does anyone even think Suru is like even close to like one of the best? I have no idea. I don't think Suru is that good at all. I think it's like probably, I don't even know if it's the best Black 2K, honestly. I mean, I think like in terms, because it's not even recyclable, and it's basically, it's a neg 2 that it comes in handy, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, let me know.